It's the 1660s in Germany. Henning Brand, a German alchemist, is trying to create the mythical object, the Philosopher's Stone. It was believed that the object could turn inexpensive base metals to gold. So he boiled gallons of urine, but the end product turned out to be phosphorus and not gold. And this is how we got the first element with a precise discovery year. So let's start with the basics that we know. Let's start with the definition of element. So, what is an element? These are substances that are made of only one kind of atom. You must have heard of elements like hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine. But have you ever heard of elements such as astatine and tennessine? I don't think so. Currently, there are 114 elements that are known to mankind. And all of these names are really hard to remember. That is why we have something called as the periodic table. This is a list of all the elements that are present in nature. It starts with the lightest of the elements and goes to one of the heaviest elements. So, as more and more of these elements were discovered day by day, scientists found it really difficult to organize these elements. They started looking for some sort of a pattern that could help them understand this property, the atomic mass, the atomic number, and every other thing related to these elements. So imagine you have a list of groceries to buy. Maybe you have only 4 items in the grocery list. Something like baking soda, egg, milk, pepper. These are easy to remember, right? But when you have around 200 items that you need to purchase, isn't it difficult to remember all of these? Of course, you start making a list, writing it down. So that is what was difficult for the scientists to understand. How could you understand their properties, their atomic masses? How do they react with different other elements? So they needed some pattern to understand their behavior. That is why there were few early attempts that were made to classify these elements into groups. Let's start with the first person, Dobrynin. So in 1817, Dobrynin, who was a German chemist, tried to arrange the elements with similar properties into groups. There were 3 elements in each group. That is why they called it the triads. And these 3 elements were arranged in the increasing order of their atomic mass. So let us understand the Dobrynin triad. We will take one of his triads as an example. So in his triads, he has 3 elements, right? So we will take the example of calcium, strontium, and barium. So calcium, strontium, barium. These elements were arranged in the increasing order of their atomic mass. Let me write down the atomic masses. Calcium, the atomic mass is 40. Strontium, the atomic mass is 86. Barium, the atomic mass is 137. So can you observe that the atomic masses are increasing as you go down, right? So the atomic masses will increase as you go down from 40 to 86 to 137. Now, there's another way that he arranged these elements. This element in the middle, strontium, which has the atomic mass of 86, was somewhat approximately equal to the average of the other 2 atomic masses, which means that 86 will approximately be equal to 40 plus 137 divided by 2. So when you calculate this, you get around 88.5. So as you can observe, 86 and 88.5, they're approximately same. So this is what the triad was arranged according to. 1, the increasing number of the atomic mass of every element, and 2, that the middle element had an atomic mass which was approximately equal to the average of the other two. But as more number of elements were discovered, this system of classification into triads was not found to be useful. Therefore, his thesis was rejected. So the next scientist that we come across who tried to group all of these elements was John Newland. He was an English scientist and he arranged all of these elements in the increasing order of their atomic masses, just like what Dauberiner did. But he found that every eighth element had similar properties as the first. Let me explain this to you using the musical notes. So I'm sure you must have heard of the Indian musical notes. They are sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. And then we come back to sa. So as you can see, there are only 7 musical notes. And then after all of these 7, you come back to the first. So this is somewhat similar to the octaves that we are trying to learn here. The Newland's law of octaves had somewhat of a similar kind of property running around his grouping. So what he did was, he again prepared a list of all the elements that existed until his time and arranged them in the increasing order of their atomic mass. So the first element had maybe an atomic mass of 1. The second one had an atomic mass of 2, and then so on. So the first thing that he arranged the elements was according to the increasing atomic mass. And the second thing was according to the property. So he observed that after every 7th element, the property of the 8th element was similar to the first element. So as you can see here, this is the Newland's method of grouping all of these elements. So the way he has arranged it, the first element being hydrogen, second lithium, third beryllium, fourth boron, carbon, nitrogen, and then oxygen. These are all arranged in the increasing order of their atomic mass. All right. And as you can observe, there are only 7 elements in one group. So this one group consists of only 7 elements. It did not go beyond 7. Why is that? Because every 8th element had the similar property as the first element. That is why he placed the eighth element just under the first element. Here, the eighth element is fluorine. So, according to Newland, fluorine had the same property as hydrogen, which is why he placed them one below the other. The same way, chlorine. Chlorine had the same property as hydrogen and fluorine. That is why chlorine is placed under them. Then comes cobalt and nickel. Then comes bromine, and then iridium, platinum, and so on. So these were the elements that were discovered by then, and this is how Newland arranged all of these elements according to their atomic mass and also according to their properties. But you see, even his idea of grouping had a few issues. It was found that his law was applicable only up to the element calcium. And after that, this law would not hold good for the other elements. Which means that after calcium, whichever element existed, it did not have the same property as that of the element right above it. And also, as time passed by and other elements were discovered, it was found that those elements did not hold good in the periodic table according to Newland's laws. And also, another problem that existed in his periodic table was that he adjusted two elements into the same slot. As you can see in the picture, he placed cobalt and nickel into the same slot. And also, the other problem with cobalt and nickel being placed in the same slot and the same group as chlorine and fluorine was that cobalt and nickel did not have the same properties as the others in the same column. So, this was very contradictory. He made a law every eighth element should follow the same property as the first, and he did the same mistake. He did not place this element, cobalt and nickel, according to his law. So, because of this contradictory statement, even this thesis of John Newland was later rejected. Now, this man that we are talking about changed the periodic table forever. He literally made order out of all the chaos. This man was Dmitry Mendeleev. Mendeleev was a Russian chemist. His contribution to the arrangement of all the elements in the periodic table is the most important. So, according to his table, he arranged all the elements according to their fundamental property, their atomic mass, and also the similarity in chemical properties. So, what Mendeleev did was, he took a few cards and wrote the name of all the elements along with their atomic masses on these cards and placed them on the wall. Then he tried to find the similar properties of the other elements with the element that he placed on the wall. So this is what Mendeleev's periodic table looked like. First of all, the arrangement of these elements depends upon the atomic mass. First is the arrangement of these elements according to the atomic masses, which means hydrogen here must have had an atomic mass less than lithium. Lithium must have had an atomic mass less than beryllium. That is why they are placed like this in the increasing order of their atomic mass. Secondly,
they are also placed according to their properties, similar properties. What I mean to say is hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, copper, rubidium, silver, cesium, and gold, all of these had similar properties, which is why Mendeleev placed them in that column. The same way, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, zinc, strontium, and all of these elements in this column were placed into that position because of their similar properties. The same way, boron's whole group, the same way carbon's whole group, the same way the other groups were arranged in this order because of their similar properties. So the second arrangement was because of their properties. Then the next arrangement was because of their chemical properties. Now, what do I mean by chemical properties? Let's look at that. So I'm trying to explain to you how chemical properties is also one of the way in which Mendeleev arranged all of these elements. So what I'll do is I'll take lithium and I also take rubidium and try to chemically react these two elements with another element, maybe oxygen. So first I'll take lithium. When lithium reacts with oxygen, it gives us this compound Li2O. So this is the compound that is formed chemically, right? Now we will come to rubidium. So what happens when rubidium reacts with oxygen? We get the compound Rb2O. So what is the similarity that you've observed between the lithium oxide and the rubidium oxide? If you see in both the cases, the element lithium and the element rubidium have gained this 2, which means when they have undergone the same chemical properties, which means that hydrogen, sodium, potassium, copper, silver, cesium, and also gold can combine with oxygen to give you the same type of compounds just as rubidium and lithium. The element, whatever the element is, they have a subscript of 2 and then the element oxygen. So this is what Mendeleev did. He found out that all of these elements in the same group, they had the same chemical property, which means that they reacted with different elements in the same manner. That is hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, copper, rubidium, silver, cesium, gold. All of them will react with oxygen to give you the element, a subscript of 2, and then O. So another thing that Mendeleev did was he named the rows and columns. I hope you know the difference between the row and a row and a column. So when there are horizontal grouping, then it is called a row. And when there are vertical groupings, then it is called a column. So Mendeleev named these rows, which are horizontal, as periods, and he named vertical columns as groups. So periods were the horizontal grouping and groups were the vertical grouping. Now, Mendeleev did not become famous only because of his arrangement of these elements according to the atomic mass, fundamental properties, and the chemical properties. But the main reason why he's famous is because of these elements here and also these elements here. So, what was so special about these elements here? You observe these elements in white. These were the elements that were not yet discovered during Mendeleev's periods. So, what Mendeleev did was he just left spaces. These white spaces are the ones that Mendeleev left because he knew that there were elements somewhere present in nature but not yet discovered to fit into these slots. So this is one of the main reasons why Mendeleev is famous. Also, these elements in black that you observe here, these are the elements whose atomic masses were corrected by Mendeleev. So these elements already had some atomic mass, but they were not right. Mendeleev correctly numbered their atomic masses. And these are one of the two main reasons why he is known as the father of the periodic table. So this is how the Mendeleev's periodic table came into existence, and this is the Mendeleev's law. It states that the properties of elements are the periodic function of their atomic masses. What does this exactly mean? It means that all the properties that we discussed just before this slide, they have something in common with the atomic mass. That is why maybe that is the reason why they are behaving so with every other element that they are reacting. We discussed about lithium and rubidium, right? We discussed about these two elements. Why do you think they reacted with oxygen to give us Li2O and Rb2O? There must be something that was related to their atomic mass and their property that made them combine to give this compound. That is why he stated that the properties of these elements are the periodic function of their atomic masses, which means that the property of the elements and the atomic masses are somehow related. So, another reason for Mendeleev to be famous is because of the positioning of cobalt and nickel. If you paid attention to Newland's law of octaves, there he placed both the elements cobalt and nickel into the same slot, right? But here, what Mendeleev did was he figured that the atomic masses of both these elements are different and he placed them in their respective slots. He did not give both of the elements the same slot. That would be wrong. No two elements can have the same slot in the periodic table, right? So Mendeleev corrected their atomic masses and placed them accordingly in their different positions.
So these are the achievements of Mendeleev, that he predicted the existence of some of the elements that were not yet discovered, and also the elements with similar property were grouped together irrespective of their atomic masses, which means that in case of grouping the elements according to their properties, atomic mass did not really matter. And Now, coming to the limitations, you see, Mendeleev, of course, was a genius. He predicted the elements which were not yet discovered during his time. But also, with great minds creating these sorts of ideas, there are a few limitations that come across. So, those limitations were he could not assign a correct position to hydrogen. Still, today, we are not able to assign a good enough position to hydrogen. We'll learn about that later. Then we come across the isotopes of all the elements. You see, carbon, they have different isotopes. Similarly, there are different elements which have different isotopes. We will talk about isotopes a little later into the chapter. Then the other limitation was that the atomic masses do not increase in a regular manner in going from one element to the next. This is also one of the reasons of his achievements. If you observe the achievement slide, there it was told that elements with similar properties were grouped together irrespective of their atomic mass, which means that Mendeleev concentrated more on grouping elements according to their properties. So he did not care if the atomic mass was, increasing. But he placed every element according to their property. He really did not care if the atomic mass was increasing or decreasing. So these were the chemists and scientists that discovered or helped in advancement of the periodic table that we have today. So in the next part of the video, we will be talking about our modern periodic table, how the elements are arranged in today's modern periodic table. Is that similar to Mendeleev's or not? Let us discuss about that in the next video.